Joining us now here in Washington is South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace. Congresswoman, thanks for being with us today on an early Sunday morning. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Let's talk about the scourge of anti-Semitism first on college campuses. A lot of it laid bare in that testimony that Lucas reported on for us this week.
That's
so
right.
Liz Magill at UPenn is now out. What else needs to be done?
Well, any college president in this country who cannot condemn anti-Semitism, cannot condemn Jewish genocide, they need to resign or be fired. There ought to be consequences for that, because the reality is Israel is the only country in the world that is literally at risk of real genocide. And that's what we're talking about here. It's disgusting, it's shameful, and shouldn't be happening on our college campuses.
I want to ask you about this as well. Israel has now produced over 1,500 pieces of evidence that show Hamas raped, sexually assaulted women and girls on October 7th. A lot of women's groups, though, who profess to care deeply about protecting women have stayed largely silent. Take a listen to this.
Where is the solidarity for women in this country and in this world to stand up for our mothers, our sisters, and our daughters?
We call upon the entire UN to formally condemn Hamas for these rapes.
As a global community, we must respond to weaponized sexual violence wherever it happens with absolute condemnation.
Do you agree?
Oh, absolutely. But where are the women? Where are the women's groups who profess to be fighting for women around the world who've been dead silent on this issue? And I look at my colleagues in the House. Where are they? Representative Jayapal, her excuses last week. I mean, we now know that Hamas, in their battle plan, was to go in and systematically rape, mutilate, and murder these Israeli women. And I'm a survivor of rape, but the difference here is that I survived, but many of these Israeli women didn't, and they were mutilated and murdered while it was happening. And I can't think of anything more shameful to see these women's groups, to see women on the left, women in the House, my colleagues on the left, who refuse to say what this is, which is shameful, it's disgusting, it's barbaric, and we ought to be condemning it. From every corner of our country, every woman should be condemning this, and I think it's shameful.
And what about the UN? UN Women has been called out for not taking a stand. It took the Secretary General himself 55 days to acknowledge the Hamas sexual atrocities, and when he did so, it came in a tweet.
Yeah, and we're seeing all this evidence now. And so many of us, we've seen videos of women who were naked and nude, and now we're hearing all these stories of the evidence of witnesses that were collecting the bodies of these Israeli women. And I can't think of anything more barbaric. It just goes to show there are some people in this world who are still animals, and that's what Hamas is.
Turning our attention here to the U.S., we saw record-setting numbers of migrants cross the U.S. southern border over the past week. More than 500,000 people came into the country illegally since just October 1st. Fox News was on the scene in Lukeville, Arizona. Take a listen to this.
Where in the United States do you want to go?
Detroit.
California.
New York City.
Nueva York.
New York City. I have family members there.
Miami.
¿Y a dónde vas en los Estados Unidos? ¿Qué ciudad?
Omaha.
Omaha, Nebraska.
Miami. Puma.
Oklahoma?
Sur Carolina.
It's really not just a crisis for U.S. border states anymore, is it?
No, and look, this is literally evidence and documentation that every town is now a border town in this country. I'm from South Carolina. I represent some small towns, but just 2 years ago, we were arresting people from the MS-13 gang. And this is happening all across the country, and it is a major issue for every American, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. And it doesn't seem like anyone on the left wants to have a resolution. The minute we bring up border security in Ukraine, everyone's like, nope, can't do that at all. And it's insane to me that we want to give more money and more resources and assets and support to other countries' borders except our own. And we're seeing this. We're seeing terrorist-age men come across the border in record numbers. And with everyone else coming across, it's literally breaking our economy.
Quickly, do you think that your caucus this week is going to come to some kind of a compromise agreement with President Biden on that issue to push this legislation forward, his supplemental spending?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Chuck Schumer has had a Homeland Security bill with border security, responsible border security for weeks now, and hasn't done anything with it. I don't think the left is serious about border security, and that is to their detriment. We have a plan. We want to move forward. We're willing to negotiate, and they don't seem to want to.
Want to turn your attention to politics before I let you go. Former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy announced this week he's going to step down at the end of the year. You were one of a handful of Republicans who voted against him. This leaves your party now going forward potentially with just a 3-seat majority at the end of the year. Are you concerned about that?
Well, I think it also shows, too, that this wasn't about the people of this country. This wasn't about the party. This was all about power, one man's power. And we have to move forward. We're going to have to be more united than ever going into next year, into 2024. We're going to have to work a little bit harder. And, you know, I wish him the best of luck in the future, whatever that looks like.
Is there any real hope that you guys will be more united than ever before?
We have to be.
Okay. All right. Well, Congressman, thank you for taking time with us on this Sunday morning. Great to talk to you.
Good to see you.